the expectations aren't always the reality. TV is only the best part of everything. What you don't see behind the scenes is, things happen, things fall through the cracks, but your success is everyone's success. Your listing is a team's listing, it's not yours.
All right, everybody, welcome to a brand new episode of the podcast. And today we have a very special guest. First of all, let's welcome in our co-host, David Meltzer, the amazing David Meltzer.
Special David Meltzer.
Special David.
Lacy Book. I'm Shawn, Dill, and our guest today is Cody Coffman. He's the CEO of Tracy Tutor. You see Tracy all over the place, all over television. And if you are a real estate person, I know you look up to all things Tracy Tutor, but let's be real. The person who's running the show behind the scenes, we've got him here on the podcast. Cody Coffman, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you guys so much. Such an honor to be here today.
You know, our audience, service providers, have a big passion for changing the world through what it is that they're offering. You are in the business of getting people matched up with their dream home. Nothing better, nothing more fulfilling than seeing that person accomplish that. They're like, wow, this is what I wanted. But you're in a crowded field. You're in a field where, realtors, dime a dozen, they're everywhere. What makes you, the Tracy Tutor companies, and your realtors stand out?
That's my biggest challenge every day. It's a great question. We all do the same thing. The way transactions have to get done is the same across the board, whether we're in our Dallas office or our Los Angeles office. I think what really sets us apart in a different way is the caliber of agents that I seek. Experience and years in the business doesn't necessarily mean you know how to transact. And that for us is so critical. Managing 2 states, having a TV show, speaking engagements across the world, our important part is finding agents that can navigate without us. We're here as like the backbone. If you have a $30 million seller that wants you to come and interview them for their property, we will be there. We'll get the contract signed, but we want you to run with it. That took time. It took time. We really had to figure out what our brand was so that we could find who aligned with that. And that took some growing pains. I think Tracy and I had ideas of what we wanted, but putting that out to the world was difficult. And everyone wants to be on a TV show and wants to look at $50 million houses every day for fun and post on Instagram, but there's so much more to it than that.
Okay, but let's take us back just a little bit, because the story begins for all of us with TV show.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell us pre-TV show, what did you guys have to do to get to that point?
Oh my God. It was a lot. Tracy is very fortunate to come from a family of like a big contractor family based in Los Angeles, Tudor Perini. Bridges, tunnels, the Wynn Hotel, Hudson Yards. So her connection through her family really put her a little bit ahead of the game. Not to say that the work still wasn't brutal and still wasn't endless hours of networking, spreading the word. The name was there, but you still had to show your worth and why should I hire you versus my competitor. And I tell Tracy all the time, markets change, economy changes, elections happen, and we are constantly having to pivot. And I feel whenever we're down, my one word to her is we're going back to the basics. And the basics are picking up the phone, calling everyone that we've worked with. Hey, we're still here. Hey, what's going on? How are the kids? When you're busy, those things like flow so far out of your vision that when you get back to your list and you're like, wonder how John's doing. That was 5 years ago. They bought the house. The kids are certainly in college. They don't need this. That's like how we go back to the basics. and it's not fun.
No.
That's not the fun glamorous part.
No.
Well, if it was fun, everybody would do it. And
Right.
I've been blessed to be around a lot of the celebrity realtors and coach some of them as well. And one of the things that I've learned and holds and resonates being in real estate myself, not in the celebrity side of it, but coaching celebrities on the content community building, amplification of their brand, some who have their own TV shows on Netflix now, was that personal, human, emotional connection of a difference between a successful real estate person that is also going to be successful in media is that they're not selling to anyone.
Totally. Couldn't agree more.
They're shopping with a friend.
Yep.
And whether it's Josh or Ryan or you or whoever it may be, when you're watching them on TV, you know why they're successful because you feel like you're shopping with a friend, and vicariously you're shopping with a friend for like killer spots, right? And it's really fun in almost a manifestation realm as well as just in an entertaining emotional connection that we have.
Yep.
How, or I should say, how do you differentiate yourself in that friendship with the audience more than just the people obviously that you do business with, building a team of brokers that are able and capable of doing it? But I see when I watch on TV, I feel like I'm shopping with a friend.
Totally. One word: authenticity. 100% through
And
and
what does that
through.
mean to you? So authenticity for me is it's my essence. So I look at, I'm unique because of my skills, my knowledge of who and what, and my desire. So I formulate that. Have you ever thought about what does that actually mean? Because everybody uses that word.
Yep.
Have you thought about for yourself, what is my authentic self?
I would say our biggest blessing and curse is we're a little too honest. You know, John
It's a
Smith
vulnerability.
calls me in and says, "We want to sell your house. We want you guys to sell our house." Great, we'll be there. John Smith has a number in their head, and I call it very aspirational, 9.5.
Perceived value.
It's just perceived value.
Perceived value.
Like Zestimate says. And I think through and through, if you can be authentic in your approach, if you can almost be a little vulnerable and like you're hiring me to do a service. I'm telling you, John Smith, I think your place is worth 45 today on the best day. John Smith's 55, 65. Usually the look on people's faces when those meetings happen is it was all fun and dandy, and then it's like plot twist.
Disappointment is best.
Disappointment. But with that, our value shows in the data and why we feel that. It only benefits us if we sell the place for more too. We make more money, they make more money. But I tell people through and through, you're hiring me to sell your house. I don't want listings. I want to sell listings. And with that means you have to be honest. And we've not gotten listings. And 6 months down the road, that seller calls us back and was like, shit, you were right.
I wasted 6 months.
Will you give me a second chance? Yes, but we're going to take control now. And that, and especially in the market we're in right now, is we have ULA. There's so many things fighting against us to be successful and sellers making money that now more than ever, like true on price is so important.
Well, I want to go back to, you said that when you started hiring individuals, you really had to figure out like who you guys were as a brand and then who aligned with that brand. And I think so oftentimes as entrepreneurs and business owners, we don't do the work up front that's necessary to figure out what the brand is all about and who we want to bring in our culture. So first off, what was that like for you developing that? And then what did you guys figure out, or through that process, who did you figure out was a good fit for your company? And how does that translate into helping individuals that are high net worth?
Big lessons learned in that department. A lot of jealousy up front. Finding agents that were of the mindset of like team collaboration and your success is everyone's success. Your listing is a team's listing, it's not yours. And finding ones that wanted their other team members to succeed were the people that I was looking for. There's of course jealousy in any sales job. I think there's jealousy. I think it would be silly to not think that. But when someone's on the team pulling in 15, 20 listings, a quarter, and someone's pulling in 3, there's a bit of like, what am I doing wrong? We have really, really fostered like a family where everyone in my eyes as a CEO is equal. And I treat everyone, whether you're my biggest producer or you're my new guy who's like, busting $200,000 condos, everyone is the same to me. And I feel that with the team collaboration, people feel vulnerable that they can go to the big guy and say, what are you doing? Can I come with you on a couple appointments? And that took time in, I guess, educating everyone that everyone's success here is valuable for everyone as a whole. And finding that is not easy in real estate. It's cutthroat to the core.
Well, you also must have a very difficult task in balancing on one side when we talk about the brand, the TV show, the personality, and then the business. At the end of the day, we've got to sell homes. We've got to get listings and we've got to close deals. How has that been once the TV show came on, the elevation of the brand, and what kind of difficulties or challenges has that created for you? I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably come calling that want to work under the brand, but they're not really there to sell homes.
Sell homes, yes. I would say the brand in itself is free marketing. Free marketing. Like, we get big ranches in Texas and they're like, we need marketing. I can give that to you in the easiest way possible. We have global, other countries, all the things. Now, from the brand perspective, you're correct. Like, people call, oh, she's on a TV show, she sells all these houses, she can certainly sell mine. It's not always like that. But I would say the show, of course, has been a marketing platform for us for business. Hands down, no doubt about it. What the flip side of it is, the expectations aren't always the reality. TV is only the best part of everything. What you don't see behind the scenes is, things happen, things fall through the cracks. But I would say most of our calls are, we need marketing that my local agent in my small neighborhood isn't going to find me the buyer that's going to come from California or overseas. And that's where, like, the brand awareness and where we reach gets us the business that we get.
What about internally with the agents that are coming? A lot of people that are there with other desires. Maybe they're crossing the background of the camera.
I would say that it was some lessons learned on, are you here for the same intentions and the growth that I personally want for the team, or are you here to get 20 minutes of TV time in 10 episodes? Yes, there's some of those. I call them Instagram agents. And I don't think it's the nicest thing, but I think it's true. You don't just put a house online and take a cute video and walk through on Instagram and it sells. It is so much not that anymore. 2020 was, but that ship is so gone. But the agents that use the brand to their advantage are the ones that are at the top of my leaderboard every single month. And they use it to their advantage in ways that they can be authentic about it. And I see that working. The ones that are the Instagram agents, open houses, doing all the videos, which work, and you get the visibility, but visibility doesn't always sell. And that's the disconnect between using the brand to its advantage and being a part of a brand, but not contributing anything to it.
Yes.
And when you've built a big community and you built a big brand, you have a perspective that's international as well as national. And I see obviously a lot of other, even big brand agents that aren't on TV, they're still segmented mini businesses. So Orange County Keller Williams is Orange County Keller Williams, and they have no perspective of the global aspect of the market. And I believe today more than ever, especially in residential, that it's such a segmented market. I mean, it's down to the neighborhood. There's neighborhoods right now that still sell over asking in a matter of a day. And I imagine because of that segmentation that it creates a whole nother problem with managing and developing an expectation, because you literally can have friends that live in the same county, different neighborhoods, and now they have the Zestimate perspective of what their house is worth. Plus, they have quantitative proof that their friend just sold their house in a day over asking price. Meanwhile, how come you can't do that here,
Right.
the neighborhood next to that?
I have a great story on that, actually. We sold something in Ladera Ranch
That's where I live, by the way.
for $10.5 million.
Covenant Hills, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's my neighborhood.
And I remember pulling up to
Thank
the
you
house.
for doing that, by the
You're
way.
welcome. You're very welcome.
Yeah.
I have since gotten a lot of calls like, how did that house sell for so much? I want to sell mine. I'm like, oh gosh,
I
babe,
bet.
that was a
Yeah.
very one-off, and I promise you that we sold that for 100% over what it was worth. And I can't promise you that. That was a really, really weird
It's so
one-off.
funny when I came up with the question, I was thinking about that house in my
No
neighborhood.
way.
Because how many people even in the neighborhood were like, shit, dude, sell your house.
It was, I walked out of that, got in the car, and was like, 10.5, this guy is out of his mind. But sure, let's try it.
Yeah.
And buyer came from Hawaii, moved in, it was their vacation spot, and we found them by way of Instagram.
Yeah. Amazing.
So it, again, very one-off. Yes, did it set that was the highest sale in that neighborhood that I know
Yes,
of. As
it
of
still
now.
is, yeah.
Don't know that that'll ever happen again. So you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. But it does create a different problem than
100%.
exists before. And you
Yep.
said time, emotion, and value are changing, especially in real estate, which brings the more pragmatic question of, I always say that when we come to a decision, like what are we going to sell the house for, or we come to an agreement, implied, written, or oral, even without consideration or with, that the minute we come to this agreement, time, emotion, and value changes. And when you're selling a home, it could be 180 days.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's an election year.
Yep.
Or COVID happens. And so what's one of the tricks or tips that you can give us? Because I focus a lot of my consulting in, hey, I'm really an expert at managing and developing the vision after the decision, the agreement after you've sold the guy, now the real work's done. I'd love a tip from you on how do we deal with time, emotion, and value changing in real estate?
So every listing appointment since COVID market, let's call it that. COVID market, a photographer shows up outside and people are like, what's going on with that house?
Yeah.
Those days were so beautiful.
Well, I'm old. That was true before in 93 as well.
And real estate then was crazy. And one of the biggest things we talk about in listing appointments now are, how quick do you think this is going to sell? And that boils down to so many factors. What are we pricing? What is your urgency? What's going on in the neighborhood? And to your point, back in the day, it would take 6-7 months to sell a house. This whole getting into contract in 5 days and closing in 15, yes, that's a fluke. Yes, there's certain properties that do get that. But the average thing is usually 6 months. And setting that expectation up front with pricing for me is literally everything.
Great advice.
Aspirational pricing versus a sell now. Do we want to test it? Do we want to leave some room for negotiation? We have ULA, we're factoring in that extra 5.5%. Where do we want to land? Like that kind of all makes it more difficult now on picking that starting number to see how long this could take. But yeah, it's the famous call every week. How many more weeks do you think? The crystal ball hasn't landed yet. I don't have the answer.
If it did, you'd be making a whole lot more money.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'd produce this. If you can do that, I got a whole nother show I
I
want
got
you.
a whole
I'll
nother
executive
idea.
produce that thing
Thing.
immediately.
Thank you.
I'm curious too, as we're closing out, working for, and building a big brand. You were obviously the builder behind the brand as well. Having all of this exposure to all of these different markets, all of these different areas, like what life lessons have you learned that you now take with you?
Patience. Patience. I would say when T and I first collided and were working on a way to become a working partnership, I had so many ideas and so many things that I thought could have been better that I wanted like now. I was
Yeah.
like, I can do this. I know everyone. This is going to totally happen. And then once I kind of dove in, I was like, oof, no, a lot more goes into this. And I'm still young, but in such a big role for a young person, which is totally not abnormal in today's world.
I thought I was young
But I would say
compared to Jay.
the patience and the trial and error. Like
Yeah.
we've tried things, and when we moved into the Texas market, we didn't know Texas. And our biggest question was, what's our approach? Are we making like a big splash, or are we gonna like be silent for 6 months or a year, get a ton of market share, and they'd be like, "Hey guys, we've been here.
Yeah.
What's up?"
Hi.
And we took that approach
Yeah.
because we followed some other individuals who did the opposite approach, and it didn't work for them.
Right.
And the Texas community didn't resonate with this LA glam coming to Texas and being like, "Hey, I'm here." And so we were silent. And I think that lesson of which road are we going to take? Launch date's coming. How are we going to do it? And that impatience has been like testing things that if the repercussion's not going to be too bad, but we've tried, is how I'm like approaching things now.
So that was the life lesson. What was something that now looking back, you're like, you would tell us what you think about, because you can only see it through your screen.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
It's not just about opening doors and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. It is termites. It's inspections. The house is flooding. Just happened the other day, and it's like the glitz and glam of what you see in like these reality shows, which are such a blessing and a curse at the same time. But it's so kind of dark on the other side of the screen. And family, death, divorce, sickness, like there's so many things involved. And when you're navigating personalities, it's challenging. And death and divorce and sick and job promotions and demotions happen. And you deal with that roller coaster of the good times and the bad times, and you're here as like their support of
Hit it.
Giant bug.
Hit it.
oh, it's a spring bug.
What is it?
Spring bug.
June
You got
bug.
him good.
LA's finest.
LA's finest.
Really? I've never
Cody
seen
was
those before.
calm as can be.
I know.
Cody was, I just
Yeah,
get that.
they don't bite.
June bugs.
Yeah.
They're just loud.
There you go.
But yeah, the
And aggressive.
And
apparently.
colorful.
the non-beauty
Colorful.
is the what happens behind the scenes. You know, someone passes away, we got to sell the house, or it's a trust sale and the kids are fighting over the money because everyone's splitting it 4 ways, and you're here just trying to navigate doing what's best for them given the circumstances that you're given.
Well, I gotta say,
it's hard.
you've done a fantastic job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm positive that Tracy super appreciates all of the work that you've put into developing the brand. She gets to have her name on it, but I'm glad that we are able to share this with you and hopefully
Yes.
share with other people that
Agreed. Thank
it also
you.
takes two. It
does.
takes two people. It can't just have the name and the connections and the face. You got to be able to roll up your sleeves and put in the hard work. So
I agree.
thank you for joining
Thank
us.
you guys.
All right,
Thank God,
everybody.
wait. Thank
No.
God for Lacey Book then.
That's
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, of
Yeah, it
course.
takes
It
two.
takes two, right?
Exactly.
It takes two.
You know that.
Just wanted to mention.
Just
Go
wanted
ahead.
to-
Close,
I
close this
appreciate
out.
you.
Close this out.
All
Shawn.
right, everybody. You guys already know it takes two. We'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of this podcast. Make sure that you tune in.